Welcome to Wednesday, 7:30 here in New Zealand. Karen Hadler here, your independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from New Zealand. Always fantastic to come on here on a Wednesday and say hi to everybody and share something with you that I absolutely love. And tonight is no different. I have got something from the mini catalogue and I would love to share with you today, something a little bit different, but it is a technique that I absolutely love. So I'm going to switch you over to the desktop and get started. Let me do that. Okay, so I hope everyone is well. We are going to be using the Soar Confidently from the mini catalogue. Now, this is amazing, this stamp set. Masculine. Hi Shani, how are you? I just had to scroll down because they don't seem to come up automatically. I have to scroll down to see them. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for popping in and joining me tonight. Masculine cards. I don't make enough of them, I must admit. But when I saw this stamp set, I just thought, wow, this is certainly something you can do a lot with. It is something really that lends itself to that vintage sort of look with the styling of the stamps, and it really does have a fantastic stamp, what are they called, distinctive stamp look when you stamp with so much detail. It's incredible. And of course it has that Father's Day. I know on the other side of the world Father's Day is coming up shortly, but for us it's in September, so we'll have to hang on to that one for September. Hi Tanya, welcome. So yes, let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a really quick way to make a vintage style vintage style card. Now, last week I kept saying card instead of stamp. Now I'm saying it the other way around. Okay, we are going to use the Stamparatus tonight, and let me grab that. I do love the Stamparatus and do not use it as often as I should, but it really does lend itself perfectly to this technique. And let's grab, this is shimmery paper, the gorgeous paper with, oh, you're from New Zealand, oh, so you know Father's Day is in September. Yeah, so we have to hang out for these with these stamps to wait and use them at the right time. Okay, so let's pop that in here. I've measured this out before, and I have used to cut this one of the rectangle dies from, and these are fantastic, these are the rectangle stitch framelit dies and have so many great sizes. I just love how you can cut it, and you can use a couple of these together to make a lovely little frame or something like that for your project. I have used the fifth biggest one to cut out this piece here today. So we're going to start. Now I re-inked my crumb cake, and when I tried to do this it was just quite dark, so I tried it with, oh actually before we put this in, I do want to add a little bit of a background. So I'm just going to use this stamp set, and I think this is called a blimp. This is in the stamp set as well, over the ditch in Melbourne. Yes, not too much of a ditch. Doesn't take long these days to get to and fro Australia. But this is a blimp, I think. So we're going to just stamp in the background a blimp. And I am going to stamp it off because I don't really want this to be the feature. I just want to give some texture in the background. So I'm going to stamp it off a couple of times because, as I say, I actually did re-ink this, so it is quite juicy. I'm just randomly putting some patterns on there. As I say, that is not the feature of the card. So going back to popping this back in here, my magnets met and had a kiss and broke up, hence why they're broken. Something to be wary of. They really do like each other, and when they do, they if you don't slide them off, if you slide them off, it's fine. If you try and pull them apart, they snap, and that's what happened. Just a little tip there, if you have these magnets, they're fantastic, but they really do get attracted to each other. Okay, so I'm going to use the crumb cake Stampin' Right, and I'm just going to cover I might just pop this underneath. I'm going to cover the stamp. So I'm using the paintbrush end of this Stampin' Right. I need to push that back a little bit to cover this over. So I'm just giving it a one coat of the crumb cake, and I'm going to come in with some other colours. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of the Misty Moonlight, and I'm just going to put that over there a little bit in the middle on those stars. And I'm going to use some early espresso, and I'm just going to do the basket on the bottom. I think there's a couple of people in there actually, so I'm going to make them a little brown so they stand out. And I'm just going to, this does not have to be exact, I'm just adding this early espresso in here. And the last one I'm going to add is the cinnamon cider, and I'm just going to do that in these little mesh looking areas on here. Just going to add, so it doesn't matter if they mix together at all. Now you have to, I'm going to lift this up, I'm going to huff on this. So it's a good technique to get your stamp sort of moistened up again for stamping, because it does take a little bit longer to pop on using your Stampin' Right than if you were to just ink up and stamp straight away. Okay, so we have our balloon. Now we're going to get our water painter and just give it a squeeze to get the water down, just down on the tip of the brush, and we're just going to wet this till it spreads out. It's not neat and tidy, it's just really blurring the image over a bit, just so it really softens it out, and at the same time you're giving that paper a bit of that vintage colour. Now, what you need to do is wait for this to dry. So we'll put some other parts of this card together, but I have done one ahead of time that is dry. But as you can see, that's the look there. So when this is dry, you then re-ink up your stamp, because this is blurred. If you like it to remain as soft as that, that is fine. If you want to add some more definition, a little bit more definition back into the stamp again, you can then cover this with the crumb cake and re-stamp on the dry when it's dry. Now the other thing I do is also flick some water onto this and add some splots of water, because if you just put some drops of water on, it picks up the ink and gives you clearish dots around on your paper. So a great way to do this is you just squeeze your brush until you get water on the tip, and then you just flick it onto your project. Now you can put as much or as little water. I want some big blobs and some little blobs, so I'm just randomly sort of putting them out. There's different ways to do this. Some people like to use their finger. Some people put a little puddle and then just flick it on. I quite like just doing it like that. I have a little bit more control, I feel, when I'm adding the water. So I don't know if you can see that, sort of where those drops are. It's just clearing the colour a little bit so that it picks it up. So I've got one over here. It does dry a little bit different, so I will show you how it dries. I'll just take this up and so it doesn't get on anything. Okay, so this one has dried and curled up a bit, which is fine, and you can see where the water spots have lifted the colour and blurred some of the image. I did go over this again with the crumb cake, but I really do like how this is sort of a blurred vintagey look, gives it that blurred vintagey look. And the last thing I'm going to do is just add, now you have to be very careful because this can, if you're not very controlled with using this, it can go everywhere. So this is a fantastic way to also add add some dots or splots to your project. And this does put out colour quite quickly, so just be very careful when you do it. So that's as quick and as easy as that, adding some extra spots. So I've used the water spots and now I've just added some, this is the crumb cake Stampin' Blend. So really giving it that perfect vintage look. And I've just stamped with Early Espresso the For You in the corner. So that's how it dries, that's how it looks before it dries, and then it dries this beautiful brownie colour. Okay, so let's put all this together. So I am using Early Espresso as my card base, and inside I've used Very Vanilla, and I've just popped that panel inside with the blimp, and we will decorate the front. So I have used some In Good Taste some of the wooden pattern from In Good Taste, and I have ripped the top and the bottom, and then I've used my scissors to rough up the edges. That really does give it that fantastic vintage look. If you wanted, you could sponge the edges, but I quite liked having the sort of whitish ripped look on that. So now I'm just going to add some glue. Actually, I think we'll get, both of these are getting a bit low. Just a little bit of glue on the back. And pop that there. So can you believe it? It's nearly the middle of March already. Time has just marching by so quickly. I just couldn't believe it was, yeah, when we clicked over to March, gosh. So for some people, for us, it's going into autumn. For other people, they'll be looking forward to having summer and spring, longer days and warmer weather. Okay. So I've also roughed up the edges of both this cardstock, and I have just turned that edge over a little bit. So I'm going to pop some of the linen thread on here, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal for this. I just find this such a perfect tool for this, and it just a little bit on each side. And oops, a little bit tangled here. So I want to double this, I think. So I think that's come off the wrong side there. So let me just add a bit there for the knot. Now to save, have I done that down far enough? Yeah. No, I haven't done it down far enough. That's not going to be much good to me at all up there. I'm just going to add a little bit more further down. Okay, let's go back to this. I'm going to leave enough to tie a knot, and I do want this double, but once again being able to save some of your twine so that you're not wasting it. I'm only going to go to the back, and then I'm going to come back again, and then I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to go to the back, and then I'm going to come back again. And that just means you're not wasting two lots of thread around the back of your card where no one, hopefully no one, is going to see it. Are you looking forward to, yeah, actually I'm looking forward to cold weather. I love the winter actually, I must admit. I do not mind winter at all. People think I'm a bit odd, but I'm with you, Tanya. I do like winter. I'm just going to tie that in a knot. I cut that too big, but that's all right. Something nice about sitting around all cozy, all rugged up, inside. Mind you, I'm not complaining about being able to go to the beach, etc., but I don't mind winter at all. We lived in Brisbane for a little while, and I did miss the winters. Okay. Don't you love this little thread? It is just beautiful. Okay. And let's pop some dimensionals on here. I think there's something beautiful about every season. We're going down to Queenstown shortly. That's in the South Island in New Zealand. And it's going to be winter. And yeah, making cards in the fire going heaven. And we're going to travel to a place called Arrowtown, which is absolutely stunning in autumn. It has beautiful, beautiful autumn colours and leaves, and I'm so excited about going there in the middle of autumn. We were supposed to go to Queenstown in October last year, and my son broke his leg extremely badly. We were supposed to take him skiing. Some of you may remember he was in hospital and then on complete bed rest for 2 weeks in a wheelchair, and etc. etc. He broke it in 3 places, his lower right leg. So I don't think skiing will happen in a wee while. So we had to defer our trip. So we're going in these next school holidays in April, at the end of April, which will be autumn. So there'll be so many beautiful things to see there anyway. There just won't be skiing or snowboarding. Autumn, yeah, I love autumn. It would be, I love the colours of autumn. Okay, so just popping that on there straight, which is hard to tell sometimes when you've put something on crooked, intentionally, on the front. And then I have got these amazing matte coloured black gems from the Christmas catalogue, which was carried over. These are fabulous. So I thought I would just add a couple. Just some small ones. And we have a quick, fantastic, masculine vintage style card. Now I've put for you because it could be for you for any reason. So I think that's a fantastic card to have in your stash, ready to go at short notice. I have, with this stamp set, made this card as well, which is done in the Pretty Peacock. And I've popped the plain, I've fussy cut the plain and pre-stamped it on the bottom and offset it, which gives it that sort of 3D look. And I have stamped with the same colour on Pretty Peacock and just done a gold tag. So very, very versatile stamp set. And this is just another card that I made doing this same technique using the Lighthouse. So there we have some fantastic mail cards. I do hope you give this this technique a go. Oh, you'll have to try it, Shani. It is so easy and really is effective. I do love that. If you love that vintagey look, it really is. It really is super easy to create it, and just something a little bit different to do. So I hope you give it a go. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you all next week. Take care, everybody. Cheers.